10 funny science experiments gone wrong. Number 10, smoking water. What's better than water? Well, how about water that smokes? Yeah, it seems crazy, but it can be done. And you don't even need to be an expert in science to pull it off. And while most of them require special materials, this particular method is both simple and funny. Well, it turns out that it's actually possible to pop a balloon simply by touching it with water. Of course, this doesn't work with just any balloon, but only ones that have been treated with certain chemicals. And the good news is that these special balloons are readily available online. Place the sticky tape over the top of the jar, and then fill the jar with water. But did you know that you can actually make milk a variety of different colors using food coloring and vinegar? Did you know that it's possible to make ice cubes that are hot? All you need is some clear sticky tape, a glass jar, and some food coloring. Place the sticky tape over the top of the jar and color it with a marker. Next, take the jar and fill it with water. Place the jar in a darkroom and watch as the colors begin to mix together. This is because the sticky tape acts as a filter, only letting certain wavelengths of light through. The marker colors begin to mix together, which is why the water appears to be changing colors. Well, it is, and it's actually quite easy to do. Growing your own crystals can be a fun and rewarding experience. And one of the easiest ways to grow crystals is by using a geoda growing kit. These kits are available from most craft stores and include everything you need to grow your own geodas. To start, simply follow the instructions on the package. Most kits will require you to boil water and then add salt or sugar to the hot water. The solution is then poured into a mold and allowed to cool. As the water cools, crystals will begin to form. The best part about growing crystals is that there are endless variations and designs. You can even grow colorful crystals by adding food coloring to the solution. It's educational, and the results are always beautiful. So if you're looking for a fun science experiment to do with your kids, growing crystals is a great option. All you need is some water, a freezer, and a microwave. Start by microwaving the water for 2 minutes. Then pour the hot water into an ice cube tray and place the tray in the freezer. Let the ice cubes freeze. Then take them out of the freezer and put them in the microwave. Microwave the ice cubes for another 2 minutes. Then take them out and touch them with your hand. You'll notice that they are now hot. So, why is this possible? Well, it has to do with the way ice melts. When ice melts, it absorbs heat energy from its surroundings. This is why ice cubes feel cold to the touch. But if you were to heat the ice cubes up in the microwave, they would absorb that heat energy instead. This makes them feel hot when you touch them. To try this experiment, grab yourself some whole milk, a glass jar, and some food coloring. Pour the milk into the jar, then add a few drops of the food coloring. Put the lid on and shake the jar until the milk is evenly colored. Next, place the jar in the refrigerator overnight. The next day, you'll notice that the milk has become thick and congealed. This is due to the acidity of the vinegar, which causes the proteins in the milk to coagulate. The good news is that this milk is still perfectly safe to drink, even though it looks and feels different. Next, take the sticky tape and color it with a neon marker. Place the jar in a darkroom and watch as the water begins to glow. This is because the sticky tape acts as a filter, only letting certain wavelengths of light through. The neon marker glows under this type of light, which is why the water appears to be glowing. You can even make the water different colors by using different markers. This experiment is a great way to teach kids about light and color, and it's also just plain fun to watch. These balloons are coated with sodium azide, which when mixed with water produces hydrozoic acid. Hydrozoic acid is a very powerful explosive, so it can easily cause the balloon to pop. But while this may seem like a dangerous experiment, it's actually quite safe as long as you don't inhale the gas. In fact, this experiment is often used as a fun science demonstration in schools. So if you want to try it out for yourself, you can purchase the balloons online and then use them in a similar way to a party popper. It's also great for writing secret messages or just playing around with friends. This fun little experiment is a great way to teach kids about buoyancy and density. Well, it turns out that the results can be quite interesting and beautiful at the same time. When water freezes, it expands in volume, which causes the petals of the flower to become trapped in a block of ice. This can cause the flower to become distorted or even look like it's floating in mid-air. To try this experiment for yourself, simply take some fresh flowers and submerge them in water. Let the flowers freeze overnight, then take them out of the water and let them dry. The best part about this experiment is that you can use almost any type of flower. Each will produce a unique result. So if you want to get creative, you can even try freezing flowers that have been dyed different colors. To get started, grab yourself a glass of soda or other carbonated beverage and a handful of raisins. Just be sure not to use any flowers that have been treated with pesticides, as these chemicals can be harmful if ingested. But it's also just plain fun to watch. Drop the raisins into the glass and watch them dance. You can even make the dancing more pronounced by adding a bit of salt to the soda. So, why do the raisins dance? Well, it's all about the bubbles. The carbon dioxide in the soda creates bubbles on the surface of the raisins, which causes them to float to the top of the glass. Once they reach the top, the bubbles pop, which releases the carbon dioxide inside. This makes the raisins sink back down to the bottom where the process starts again. And that's why, to get started, grab yourself a glass of water and a piece of paper. Next, take a blue and red marker and color to separate sections of the paper. Be sure not to let the colors mix. Then place another sheet of paper on the ground or propped up against something like a tree. Next, take the first sheet of paper with the colored sections on it and submerge it into the glass of water. Let the paper sit in the water for a few seconds, then remove it and let it dry. Once it's dry, the message should be invisible. But if you take a UV marker and color over the page, the message will suddenly appear. This is because the ink reacts to the UV light and becomes visible. So, while this may not be the most secure way to hide a message, it's definitely a fun one. All you have to do is grab yourself some food coloring, liquid smoke flavoring, and some hot water. Then add a few drops of the smoke flavoring into the hot water, and then pour the food coloring over the top. The result should be water that looks like it's smoking. But why does this happen? Well, when you mix these two liquids together, it creates a reaction causing the water to become supersaturated with carbon dioxide. This means the water has more carbon dioxide dissolved into it than it can normally hold. So the excess carbon dioxide comes out of solution in the form of bubbles, which looks like smoke. Just make sure not to drink the smoky water, because too much carbon dioxide in your body can actually cause you to feel drunk. There are lots of different ways to make invisible ink. Also, the smoke isn't actually smoke, so you shouldn't really breathe it in. But all of that aside, this experiment is still pretty cool and definitely funny. Number 9, invisible ink. Number 8, exploding balloons. We've seen balloons that explode from being blown up too much, but what about exploding from touching a bit of water? If you've ever left milk out too long, you know that it can turn sour and CURDLE. 7, dancing raisins. If you drop raisins into a glass of carbonated water, they will begin to dance around the glass. Number 6, frozen flowers. Have you ever wondered what happens when you freeze flowers? Number 5, glowing water. Grab yourself some clear sticky tape, a glass jar, and some water. Number 4, colorful congealed milk. No. 3, hot ice. Number 2, shaking colors. This is a fun little experiment that you can do with your kids to teach them about color mixing. No! 1, crystal geodis. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.